Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're embarking on a fascinating and, let's be real, absolutely delicious sensory journey. Today, we're breaking down the anatomy of one of the most recognizable frozen desserts on the planet, the Dairy Queen Blizzard. We're going to look way past the cup and, that famous gravity defying upside down flip. Seriously, how many of us tried to recreate that at home and just completely failed? I know I have. We want to understand the actual architecture of these treats, like what makes them tick, what makes them so universally loved. We're going to analyze the textures, the flavor profiles, and the very specific mechanics that go into the menu's most iconic offerings.
So, I want you to start by asking yourself a quick question. What makes the perfect bite of ice cream for you? Think about your own palate for a second. Is it the temperature? Is that immediate, amazing rush of sweetness? Or is it maybe something a bit more complex? You see, when we talk about a truly memorable frozen treat, we're actually talking about food science. We're talking about the careful calibration of mouthfeel, the exact balance of smooth dairy against rigid mix-ins, and how different ingredients behave the second they hit freezing temperatures. The perfect bite? Yeah, it's never an accident. It's a highly orchestrated event.
To see exactly how this works in practice, we're going to put 4 signature treats from the Blizzard lineup right under the microscope today. We'll be looking at the Oreo, the M&M's milk chocolate candies, the cookie dough, and the Reese's peanut butter cup blizzards. Each of these 4 takes a totally different approach to that incredible sensory experience we just talked about. Section 1. Anatomy of a classic. All right, let's start with the Oreo Blizzard. You can really think of this one as the foundational blueprint for the entire Blizzard concept. This treat essentially blends the chain signature vanilla soft serve with crushed chocolate sandwich cookies. Now, it was introduced decades ago, and it pretty much established the baseline for what a blended frozen dessert could actually be. It isn't overcomplicated, right? It relies on just 2 primary elements interacting directly with each other. Now, what's really interesting about this is the precise dynamic it highlights. The source material describes this combination as a smooth dessert with crunchy chocolate cookie pieces in every bite. Notice the stark contrast there? You've got the velvety, perfectly uniform consistency of the soft serve as a canvas, and then that canvas is immediately disrupted, in the absolute best way possible, by the sharp, crunchy fragments of the chocolate cookie. It's that constant, rhythmic contrast between smooth and crunch that keeps your palate completely engaged from the very first spoonful to the last. And because of that perfect fundamental contrast, it's no surprise the Oreo Blizzard quickly became a massive customer favorite. Decades later, this simple combination of vanilla soft serve and chocolate sandwich cookies has helped it remain wildly popular all across the globe. In fact, the data points out that it's very often the very first Blizzard that people try. It's essentially the gateway treat to the rest of the menu.
Moving on to section 2, the crunch factor.
Now, if we juxtapose our foundational Oreo Blizzard with the M&M's milk chocolate candies Blizzard, we see a totally fascinating shift in the food mechanics. With the crushed cookies, the mixed-in somewhat blends and almost integrates into the moisture of the soft serve. But with M&M's, we're dealing with distinct pieces featuring candy shells that literally do not melt into the ice cream. This creates a completely different structural integrity inside the cup. And this brilliantly illustrates the multi-layered texture of the M&M's treat. Think about it. You start with the immediate visual appeal of those bright, colorful candies. Then, structurally, you get the light, distinct snap of the candy shells. But that snap is instantly followed by the yielding of the smooth milk chocolate inside the candy, all surrounded by that creamy vanilla soft serve. Because the pieces stay wholly distinct instead of melting completely, the actual physical act of eating it is entirely different from a blended cookie treat. Because those non-melting pieces are scattered all throughout the dessert, every single spoonful offers a slightly different mix of textures. You might get, say, 3 M&Ms in one bite, and then just a single one in the next. It's a little bit of delicious chaos. This element of unpredictability makes the eating experience highly interactive and just really fun, which is exactly why the source notes this specific version is massively popular with families and younger customers. It's just so dynamic and playful. Section 3. Rich and chewy profiles. Let's map out the textural mechanics of the cookie dough blizzard. First, obviously, we start with that familiar vanilla soft serve base. But step 2 is where the magic really happens. Pieces of soft chocolate chip cookie dough are folded in. Now notice the word folded there. It implies a much gentler integration that perfectly preserves the dough's chewy texture. And finally, step 3 introduces the actual chocolate chips within that dough, which provide these incredible, concentrated little bursts of sweetness throughout the dessert. It's basically a 3-tiered sensory experience
focused heavily on chewiness and pockets of super rich flavor. And, this specific profile definitely wasn't created in a vacuum. It was heavily inspired by the massive craze for raw cookie dough ice cream. By translating that beloved concept into a soft-serve format, this blizzard carved out a huge demographic for itself. It quickly became the absolute go-to favorite for people who love rich, bakery-style flavors but, want them in a frozen, spoonable form. So the crucial point is that texture isn't the only way to build a complex profile. Flavor contrast is just as powerful. Take the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Blizzard, for example. It mixes the classic soft serve with chopped Reese's cups. What this does is introduce creamy peanut butter and smooth milk chocolate directly into the base. This achieves a significantly richer, deeper flavor than a lot of other options on the menu. It's honestly a masterclass in the sweet and salty balance, hitting multiple taste receptors all at once. And let me tell you, that masterful balance absolutely pays off. The source text reveals that the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Blizzard is one of the most consistently ordered blizzards on the menu. It brilliantly leverages incredibly familiar, beloved candy ingredients to deliver that classic sweet and salty dessert experience. People know exactly what they're getting, right? And that total reliability and flavor contrast firmly secures its status as an undisputed heavyweight on the menu.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, What's Your Perfect Bite? Let's move to and see how this builds all together into one big picture. When we look at the lineup, just notice how distinct each lane really is. The Oreo offers a blended, smooth, and crunchy dynamic that serves as the perfect entry point. The M&M's Blizzard provides that distinct, non-melting candy shell crunch, making it super dynamic and playful, especially for younger fans. The cookie dough relies on a chewy, folded texture to satisfy those bakery cravers, and the Reese's utilizes chopped cups to deliver a rich, creamy, sweet, and salty punch for anyone seeking pure decadence. Each treat's specific food science is purposefully engineered to appeal to a totally different demographic. It's pretty brilliant. So, looking at the science behind the smooth soft serve, the rigid crunches, the chewy doughs, and those irresistible salty sweet balances, which texture profile actually fits your personality best? Are you a classic purist, or are you looking for a little bit of crunchy unpredictability? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this incredibly appetizing analysis on today's Explainer. Keep all this sensory science in mind the next time you hit the drive-thru, and I'll catch you next time.